Now, I'm sure most of you have heard Epicurus' riddle before, but if you haven't, it attempts to answer why there is evil in the world by especially drawing attention to some of the characteristics of, I'm thinking in particular the Judeo-Christian God as it is most commonly used, but it could generally apply to any deity that has the characteristics of omniscience, omnipotence, and omnibenevolence. So the riddle goes something like this. Is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. Is God able to prevent evil but not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is God both able and willing to prevent evil? Then whenceforth cometh evil? And if God is neither able nor willing, then why call him God? Now, there are two common answers I get to Epicurus' riddle. This is the answer that you'll generally get. Oh, evil exists because God wants to give us the free will to choose between good and evil. In other words, to accept God and to listen to what God has to say is good. But to reject God and to not listen to what God has to say is evil. And I find that very interesting because I'd have to ask, where is the free will exactly that the God of the Torah, Bible, and Quran bestowed upon humanity when he killed so many people? Where was the free will when he made the Virgin Mary pregnant? Where is the free will in any of these atrocities that happened in the Bible? I don't think that this God had any qualms whatsoever in taking away our free will. So, and might I add that his followers definitely didn't have any qualms whatsoever in taking away the free will of innocent people who don't subscribe to their beliefs, considering all the torture, torment, and war that's been the product of religion. But you see, that's only half the battle. When we take this hypothetical example into consideration, consider how a mother and her 6-year-old child walk into a rather unfortunate part of town, and they get mugged, and the mother gets raped, and the child dies. So, where was the choice in that? Someone's free will was violated anyways. So God has the power to stop that evil from happening. And yes, he would be violating the free will of the rapists and the muggers and the murderers of the child. But at the same time, someone's free will would be violated in either case, if you know what I mean. Where was the choice in the matter? Did the mother do anything to God? Let's just assume the mother is perfectly agnostic. Did not either go one way or the other in terms of this God. The child is too young to even understand anything about religion. Where was the choice in that? Where was the free will that this God supposedly gave to humanity? Does any of this make any sense to any of you? Because it doesn't really make sense to me. I also find it difficult to believe that evil is somehow some sort of prerequisite for free will, seeing as God himself supposedly is all good and has free will, and so do the people in heaven, unless there's evil in heaven. So, really, I think that the free will defense has gone on unchecked for way too long, and it should be exposed and called out for what it is. It's just really flawed, and doesn't hold any water whatsoever, and does not answer Epicurus' riddle, at least not adequately enough. Because when we face the facts, your God doesn't give two shits about our free will, or the free will of all of the rape victims or murder victims in the world. Your God doesn't give two shits about the free will of people who starve to death in poor countries. Your God does not give two shits about all the rampant and unfair amounts of suffering being dealt to people who really don't deserve it. The second answer I'm sure most of you have already heard in several of my previous videos. We deserve it. We deserve to die. We deserve to suffer in unbearable agony in hell, where we'll choke and scream and cry for all eternity. And yet it's because of God's benevolent nature that He's giving us this blessed chance to earn eternal bliss. And all we have to do is choose to believe in Him. Right? Let's take this into consideration. If someone said the exact same thing that your God just said, what would you say to them? Well, we all as human beings deserve to die. Why do we deserve to die? Why do we deserve to suffer? Because you are all evil, and I think that you all should actually go to hell, but it's because of my generous nature that I'm only allowing some of you to not go to hell. Well, that sounds like shit. I mean, if you have the power to help everyone avoid eternal suffering, especially for a finite crime such as not believing in you, then why wouldn't you? Oh, because you all deserve to suffer anyways. Well, who the hell are you to say that? See, the answers don't seem so clear when someone else, other than your God, says those exact same things. So, how do you expect to convince anyone of your own point? And I know I keep mentioning this, but if people really want to use this excuse all the time, I'd have to ask, what could you not justify with this type of reasoning? If we all deserve to suffer and choke and scream for all eternity, what can you not justify on behalf of God's benevolent nature? Thanks for watching. May the truth always be heard.